Hi friends, experimenting here, having some more fun. Okay, now I have a written journal for you, and it's interesting the way it came through. This was written 11/27. It was the second one that day. The Mayan day was Sixth Wisdom, and as I was writing it, I didn't know until the next day that it was going to turn out to be a part one of two. And I have one really good link and one interesting link. So I hope that you will click over to the transcript to get those links. I found a really great researcher, somebody who does his own work, makes his own calls, thinks for himself, and has educated his vision using hundreds of hours of sky photography and videography in order to distinguish what's being hidden in the cloud cover up there. And I think you'll be really fascinated with it. I've linked you over to part one. It's called What is in Our Skies, Part 1 Introduction. Now, I forget why I did this, but the other thing I put with it is a Bashar clip. Still don't know why I'm watching the guy. It's called There's Only One Thing and One Moment in Creation. One of my favorite topics is time. I don't know why, but I know I'm fascinated with the fact that what we believe is time is truly an illusion. But as long as we remain in the 3D mind, there's no way to see through it, because 3D is the mind is the creator of the 3D illusion. So mind and time in its own way, mind, time, and space are like equal somehow. So enough of that. All right, hi all. It seems like the body's energy is rising again. Gee, can you feel it? Been a long while in the low side of things, so this is a pleasant change. Can't recall how long ago it was that 2 journals came out in one day. Feels nice. So, what is the subject matter? Heck, I don't know. Let's find out what flows in. I think I'll link you to a lovely set of reasonably short videos on the goings-on in our skies. This guy, Steve Gautreaux, has really done the research, taking hundreds of hours of film and showing us the cloaking abilities of the craft in our skies. Whether ours or theirs is really not the point here. The point is they're there. He really got good at seeing them. And going through his set of videos is like a mini course on training your eyes to at least see through some of their cloud cloaking. And we know they've been doing that for a while. We've seen pictures where there's the aircraft and above it is this whole canopy of cloud. Well, this is the next step, much deeper. Okay, now it looks like the 12D being files, the conversations with my soul family, will be interspersed with journals. At least that's how it's coming out so far. It's probably good, as no doubt there are a few who think the whole 12D thing is preposterous. I mean, after all, string theory only accounts for 11 dimensions, right? I can understand such a view. It hasn't been so long since I had a very similar view of things, and I would have kind of poked fun at this, so I get it. So, how did my view change? What got me into this? Good question. I had largely shut the door on communicating with beings that were not visible at one point a while back. Too many charlatans and tricksters, both ETs and even those who channeled them, and I just got disgusted. Though overall, I've got to say that I think most channelers do have good intentions and good hearts. It's just not an easy thing to do from 3D, not with any purity, that is. Half of them are channeling their own subconscious. Anyway, I'd have to say it was based on my trust for my friend and medical intuitive healer, Ken. The word came to me from him that they were present and working with me. And over the years, I've come to trust him. He's passed every test for me. And I've passed some tests too of backing off from just being slavishly accepting his word. So we've gone through a lot together. If Source wanted me to make nice with these guys, that was the way in, maybe the only way. That, plus I've set my intent to come into a more solid soul confidence. When we're lacking that, we find ourselves often shooting ourselves in the foot. So, what is your level of confidence, of soul confidence, not the confidence of ego? Does Source have to work so hard to help you see yourself through different eyes? Believe me, I was very resistant. What with my Catholic early background and that spanning many embodiments, I found what I saw as a safe haven in simple humility. At least that's what I thought it was, and no doubt some of it was. However, turned out not to be quite so. Instead, I was shown how it was more or also a technique for avoidance of the issues. Falling back on being humble and empty can sometimes be just an excuse, but one we don't see until we move farther along. It can be real, or it can be mind play, mind's imitation of real, and I suppose we can kind of switch back and forth with those. Some things about the self will be rather unpleasant to learn. Well, sort of. If you're a real lover of truth, then you won't mind at all being shown the supposedly negative things in your personality. It's no big deal. Simply everyone has them. If you think you're a paragon of perfection, well, get out of mind, honey. It's leading you around by the nose. We are simply divine, right? Well, if that's so, then how can we have such seeming character flaws? Does that confuse you? If so, again, please do drop down into heart and let's consider. I call that pondering, not thought. So, what is your definition of the I? Heart has a brain too. Did you know that? It produces neurotransmitters, just like the brain in the head. And if you doubt this, go to heartmath.org, I think it is. So does the gut. It can be very confusing until you determine that everything you've ever been told is likely false. Then is when things start to get very easy. Takes a lot of the confusion away. Just set all the programming. It's just programming. Set it aside and be open, the true kind of openness, and look again. The way I've come to understand such things is by the analogy of the coin having two sides. Everything includes its opposite. Believe it or not, just like a thermometer, it includes both heat and cold. The top and the bottom measures. It contains the poles, those things that some consider to be opposite. Well, so do we. If we didn't, we wouldn't be complete. This is 3D, remember, the realm of duality. It's what nature does here, separates out into her seeming opposites. Plus, when you consider how we chose to practically lose our identity on coming here, at least our memory of who and what we are, where we've been, and so on, then it's less of a surprise that these flaws play a part. Now, let's take it further. We can also look at it through the lens of being spirit, working with a human body. A bit more duality, a this and a that. No matter how perfect the spirit may be, this 3D is not the realm for that, for its full manifestation. That would be a bit higher up on the frequency scale. So, the way I see it, it's right and true that this is not the realm of perfection. In spite of what your religious or other education might have said to you, it is not possible nor natural to manifest your perfection here. It might just blow it up, break the matrix, the natural way of 3D. Now, finally, let's look at it from yet another angle, the one of head versus heart. It would clearly be mind looking to be perfect. I hope you can see that. Mind has its own ideas around perfection, but in large part they don't harmonize with heart. And heart knows better. Heart knows that mind just doesn't understand true perfection, not to any deep level anyway. The perfection that mind sees and shoots for is a superficial thing, a thing of appearances. Now stay in heart with me for this. Mind will likely protest. Besides, this is heart knowledge, so you'll tune in better from there. Mind is the maker of 3D. Thoughts are creative, creating after their kind. Your thoughts go forth to be fruitful and multiply. It's what thought does. Yet, man and womankind, for the most part, is not even taking into consideration that the mind is far more than just the conscious part. That's the smallest bit of it. Had you considered that the last time you made a decision from left brain? If you want your decisions to take on a new depth, to even be wiser, then it's a good idea to spread your wings a bit and encompass your own unconscious and subconscious. If you're feeling really froggy, then jump into the superconscious while you're at it. Hey, why not? These, together with the conscious bit, form the mind, the whole of it. So, if we're not even taking into account the bits and parts of the 3D self, not to mention the higher or inner self, then how can we possibly make good, lasting decisions? We're acting from an incomplete self. It's rather strange when you step back and take a good look at it. How have we been convinced to do this? It bears pondering. This is why, especially stressed in my earlier videos, is the importance of first defining the I. Now, though this can't really be done perfectly while here in 3D, we can at least pull in the various bits and parts of self that we know about. And for the other side of it, anything we can look at or sense with any of the 5 senses is neti-neti. Not this, not that. It just amazes me how we can take the very smallest bit of the mind, basically the left brain, and act like that was the whole. Yet this is just what we do while we're in sheeple or sleeple state, and we simply can't help following how we are programmed. That is, not until we begin to awaken. Obviously, you're either awakened or awakening, or you wouldn't have an interest in listening or reading these journals, along with a lot else of what you're doing. Well, so own that. Start moving your own self-definition higher and higher until one day you can finally take ownership of, finally experience yourself as the higher self. We are divinities robed in flesh, my friends. There may be many who would like to shoot me for saying that, but do recognize they don't really know what I'm saying. They just think they do. Hey, I was once one of them, in other embodiments, if not in this one, and earlier on in this one too. We have simply all been there and done that at one time or another, many times. Hey, eternity is one heck of a long time, huh? Here's one of the main reasons the powers that were do not want us waking up. We slip right out of their grasp when we do. We become empowered, taking our power back from all the nonsense to which we were trained to give it. We become, in short, unmanageable. Ain't that sweet? They don't like that, not one bit. We don't fear them anymore. So now when you're pondering something, looking to evaluate it, if you will look through this lens, this perspective of higher self, I suggest it will help you see through a lot of the nonsense. Your vision will clarify. Truth does that. Truth really has the power of vision. One of truth's gifts is clear sight. That's what makes it easy to try out an idea. A truth will empower you, plain and simple. And you won't fear to fall flat on your face. You know, our failures are just as important as our successes. So go into heart and test out this thing of being divine, if you like. Keep trying it on, see how it fits and how you feel. And expect all of your programming to come screaming to the surface when you do this. And while you're self-observing that, just step quietly back, the better to see what's acting and what's underneath it. More than anything, let's learn to go by how things feel to us from deep within. During this process, it's wise to ignore what mind has to say. It may be a bit scary if this is one of your first times trusting heart for things, but that's okay. Really, it is. That's just mind fearing losing its position of power over you. It's been in control for so long that it honestly can't imagine anything else. So, much like the powers that were, it's frightened of losing its power. As above, so below. As within, so without. Same thing, same reflection. Let us wean ourselves, at least, from trusting mind so much, my friends. Instead, let's train the mind to play second fiddle to heart. Or whatever you call it. You don't have to call it heart. I've got a capital H on this. I mean, it's more of a portal than it is anything. It's not in 3D, this thing I'm calling heart. Then we can safely pay more attention when mind chips in. A really nice side effect of this process is the huge drop in hamster wheeling that the mind will experience. That too will make mind feel lost for a bit, but oh, how nice not to have the incessant chatter that's the product of that. Won't it feel nice? Go on, imagine it. A quiet mind. Oh, if somebody could market that, boy, wouldn't they be rich. Rich as Croesus. Now, it's not out of reach or out of sight, and it's free. Like everything else, though, it's a choice. I know many would love to make that choice, but don't quite know how. Well, actually, you do. Many secrets and simple steps are here in the journals. Make use of them. Try them out. Test them out for yourself. See how they work, how they feel. And while you do, just be self-aware, self-observant. That takes coming into the now, being with the self in the moment. Can you do this? And if not, why not? Again and again, you'll find your answers by dropping down into heart. And again, you'll find each one of your problems are mind generated. I can guarantee it, but you've got to prove it to the self. Are you willing to do that? How invested are you in this? It's not a spectator sport. Watch the self. If you feel you really want something, but then find yourself balking at going there, procrastinating, look underneath that. See what's under there trying to hide from you. See how you can get in your own way. We all do it. There's nothing to fear, and no reason for shame here or anywhere. Come on, love the self. Love and cherish you for no good reason at all, simply for being. Know that each step you take is a precious one. You are precious beyond your current ability to even imagine. Both in body and in spirit, you are tremendously special. We've been using the brain as a filter of reality, letting it weed the bulk of things out, and I mean the huge bulk of things. Now, as we awaken, that veil begins to come down, and we begin to see so much more than we did. Well, don't be frightened. Don't think you're going nuts. Instead, embrace it. You are already perfect, dear one. There's no need to strive for some mental idea of perfection. That's just been a part of the game, a part you can choose not to pursue anytime you're ready. Instead, own your current, now here, perfection. It's always available. Go within. And namaste. Distinguish what's being hidden in the cloud cover up there. And I think you'll be really fascinated with it. I've linked you over to part 1. It's called What is in Our Skies, part 1, Introduction. Now, I forget why I did this, but the other thing I put with it is a Bashar clip. Still don't know why I'm watching the guy. It's called There's Only One Thing and One Moment in Creation. One of my favorite topics is time. I don't know why, but I know I'm fascinated with the... Hi friends, experimenting here, having some more fun. Okay, now I have a written journal for you, and it's interesting the way it came through. This was written 11/27. It was the second one that day. The Maya day was Sixth Wisdom. And as I was writing it, I didn't know until the next day that it was going to turn out to be a part 1 of 2. And I have one really good link and one interesting link. So I hope that you will click over to the transcript to get those links. I found a really great researcher. Somebody who does his own work, makes his own calls, thinks for himself, and has educated his vision using hundreds of hours of sky photography and videography in order to the fact that what we believe is time is truly an illusion. But as long as we remain in the 3D mind, there's no way to see through it, because 3D is the mind is the creator of the 3D illusion. So mind and time in its own way, mind, time, and space are like equal somehow. So enough of that. All right. Hi all. Seems like the body's energy is rising again. Gee, can you feel it? Been a long while in the low side of things, so this is a pleasant change. Can't recall how long ago it was that 2 journals came out in one day. Feels nice. So, what is the subject matter? Heck, I don't know. Let's find out what flows in. I think I'll link you to a lovely set of reasonably short videos on the goings-on in our skies. This guy, Steve Gautreaux, has really done the research, taking hundreds of hours of film and showing us the cloaking abilities of the craft.